Sometimes there are moments in life when a person begins to feel that something is changing, even though nothing around them appears obviously different. The same routines continue, the same places are familiar, the same people are present in daily life. Yet beneath the surface, there is a quiet awareness that something is shifting. It may not arrive with a clear explanation or a visible event that announces itself. Instead, it often appears as a subtle but persistent feeling deep within, a quiet sense that something is approaching, something significant, even if the details remain unknown. Many people struggle to describe this feeling because it does not always follow the logic of ordinary experiences. It is not simply excitement or worry, and it is not always connected to a specific event. Instead, it can feel like a gentle but steady signal that something in life is preparing to change. Some describe it as a heightened awareness of their surroundings. Others notice that their thoughts are becoming more reflective, and their emotions more sensitive to subtle shifts in their environment. Daily life may begin to feel slightly different in ways that are difficult to explain. Activities that once felt routine may now carry a new sense of meaning or curiosity. Conversations may feel more significant, as if certain words or ideas are pointing towards something deeper. Even quiet moments alone may begin to feel more important, as though the mind is naturally drawn toward reflection and observation. For some people, this awareness appears as a growing sense that they are standing at the edge of something new. They may feel as though their life is quietly preparing to move into another chapter, even though they cannot yet see what that chapter will look like. The future may feel both mysterious and full of possibility at the same time. At first, this feeling can be confusing. Some individuals interpret it as restlessness or uncertainty. They may wonder whether they are simply overthinking their circumstances or imagining something that is not really there. Others may notice that they are becoming more thoughtful about the direction their life is taking. They begin asking questions they may not have considered before. Questions about purpose, about growth, and about whether their current path truly reflects the life they want to build. These questions are not always easy to answer. In fact, they often lead to even deeper reflection. A person might start examining the patterns of their life more closely. They may notice that certain experiences, conversations, or opportunities seem to be appearing at meaningful moments. What once felt random may begin to feel more connected, as if different parts of life are slowly aligning towards something new. In many spiritual and personal growth traditions, these moments are often described as the early signs of transformation. Before major changes occur in someone's life, the first signals frequently appear within the mind and emotions. These signals rarely provide exact explanations or clear predictions about what will happen next. Instead, they create an inner awareness that life is beginning to move in a new direction. This stage of awareness can feel subtle, but it often carries powerful meaning. It is the moment when a person begins to sense that the life they have been living may soon expand into something different. Old patterns may start to feel less certain. Familiar routines may begin to shift in small but noticeable ways. The individual may feel as though they are being gently guided toward a new understanding of themselves and their path. For those who resonate with the idea of being a chosen one, this inner awareness is sometimes interpreted as the soul recognizing that something meaningful is on the horizon. It does not mean predicting specific events or claiming to know exactly what the future holds. Instead, it reflects a deeper sense of intuition, a quiet recognition that the current stage of life may be gradually coming to an end and that a new phase may soon begin. This awareness often invites reflection rather than immediate action. It encourages individuals to listen more carefully to their thoughts and feelings. It encourages them to observe the patterns unfolding in their lives and to remain open to possibilities that may not yet be fully visible. In this video, we will explore why so many people experience this mysterious feeling, what it might mean when your soul senses that something is coming, and how these moments can signal the beginning of an important transformation. If this message resonates with you, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who may need to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more insights like this. One of the earliest signs that something meaningful is changing in your life is a subtle but unmistakable sense that the world around you feels slightly different than it did before. Nothing dramatic may have occurred. The same environments, responsibilities, and routines may still exist exactly as they were yesterday, Yet internally, something feels altered. The familiar rhythm of life begins to feel as though it is shifting in small but noticeable ways. It may not be something that can be easily explained to others, but the awareness is present and difficult to ignore. This shift often begins in the way a person thinks. Thoughts that once followed predictable patterns begin to move in new directions. Ideas that once felt certain may now feel incomplete. Questions that never seemed important before may suddenly demand attention. A person might find themselves thinking more deeply about their purpose, their direction, and the meaning behind their daily choices. These thoughts do not always appear suddenly. Instead, they often develop gradually, appearing in quiet moments when the mind begins to reflect more deeply than it once did. Situations that once felt stable or predictable may begin to feel open to change. Plans that once seemed permanent may now feel temporary. A person may begin to notice possibilities that were previously invisible. The path that once felt clearly defined may now appear wider, as though new directions are quietly revealing themselves. This experience can be both exciting and unsettling at the same time, because it introduces the awareness that life may be preparing to move into unfamiliar territory. Many individuals who experience this shift report that they begin paying closer attention to their inner voice. This inner voice is not necessarily loud or dramatic. Often it appears as a quiet form of intuition that gently encourages reflection. A person may find themselves pausing more often before making decisions. Instead of reacting automatically to situations, they begin listening more carefully to their own thoughts and emotions. Through this process, they start asking deeper questions about their lives. Questions about where they are going, what truly fulfills them, and whether the path they are currently walking reflects who they are becoming. These questions are not always easy to answer, but they represent an important step in personal awareness. They show that the individual is beginning to examine their life with greater honesty and curiosity. During this period of reflection, even ordinary experiences can begin to carry new meaning. Conversations that once felt casual may suddenly feel more significant. A simple idea mentioned by someone may stay in the mind longer than expected. A book, a piece of music, or a moment of quiet observation may trigger thoughts that lead to deeper insight. It can feel as though everyday life is quietly presenting signals that encourage reflection and growth. For many people, this heightened awareness leads to a feeling that certain chapters of their life are slowly reaching their conclusion. This does not necessarily mean that something dramatic is ending. Instead, it may appear as a gradual sense that certain patterns no longer feel as comfortable or relevant as they once did. Habits that previously brought satisfaction may now feel repetitive or unfulfilling. For example, activities that once seemed exciting may now feel routine. Conversations that once felt engaging may now seem less meaningful. Interests that once occupied a large portion of attention may begin to fade as new curiosities emerge. These shifts can create a sense of confusion because the individual may not yet understand why their feelings have changed. However, these experiences often represent an important stage of growth. As people evolve, their perspectives naturally expand. Interests and priorities shift as awareness deepens. What once provided fulfillment may no longer reflect the direction a person is moving toward. Rather than indicating that something is wrong, this change often signals that the individual is growing beyond the patterns that once defined their identity. This stage of transformation is sometimes described as an internal transition between two phases of life. The old patterns are still present, but they no longer feel entirely comfortable. The new direction is not yet fully visible, but the awareness of its possibility has begun to appear. During this period, individuals may feel as though they are standing between two versions of themselves. While this experience can feel uncertain, it also contains the seeds of new possibilities. The awareness that something is shifting often encourages individuals to explore ideas they may not have previously considered. They may begin learning about subjects related to personal growth, spirituality, creativity, or purpose. They may start paying closer attention to the emotions that arise in different situations and asking what those emotions reveal about their deeper values. One of the most noticeable changes during this stage is the strengthening of intuition. Intuition is often described as the mind's ability to recognize patterns and possibilities before they fully reveal themselves. It does not replace logical thinking, but it often complements it by offering subtle insights that guide reflection. During periods of transformation, intuition can become more active. A person may begin to sense opportunities or changes before they become clearly visible in the external world. For example, they may feel drawn towards certain ideas, environments, or conversations that later prove meaningful. At first, these impulses may feel difficult to explain, but over time they often reveal their significance. This intuitive awareness does not always provide immediate answers. In fact, it often presents itself as a feeling rather than a clear message. Someone may simply sense that a particular direction feels right, even if they cannot fully explain why. At other times, they may feel a quiet hesitation about certain choices that once seemed obvious. Learning to recognize these signals can become an important part of personal development. The individual begins to notice that their intuition often appears in moments of quiet reflection, rather than during periods of stress or distraction. When the mind becomes calm, the inner voice becomes easier to hear. As people grow more comfortable listening to this voice, they may begin to trust their own awareness more fully. Instead of relying exclusively on external opinions or expectations, they start considering how decisions align with their deeper values. This does not mean ignoring advice or rejecting practical reasoning. Instead, it involves balancing external information with internal understanding. Another important aspect of this stage is the growing recognition that change is a natural part of life. When individuals first begin to feel that something is shifting, they may resist the feeling because uncertainty can be uncomfortable. Humans often prefer familiar patterns because they create a sense of stability and predictability. However, personal growth rarely occurs without change. The awareness that something is shifting often signals that a person is entering a stage of development that will expand their understanding of themselves and the world around them. While the future may still feel unclear, the presence of this awareness suggests that transformation has already begun. Over time, many people who experience this shift begin to realize that their inner sense of change was an important signal rather than a random feeling. It encouraged them to pause, reflect, and examine their lives more carefully. It created the opportunity to consider new directions and to question assumptions that had once seemed permanent. In this way, the feeling that something is shifting becomes the first step toward a larger journey of transformation. It is the moment when the mind begins to open to possibilities that were previously hidden behind routine and familiarity. It is the quiet signal that life may be preparing to move into a new chapter. Even if the full meaning of this shift is not yet clear, the awareness itself carries significance. It represents the beginning of deeper self-understanding and the recognition that the path ahead may hold opportunities that have not yet fully revealed themselves. As this inner awareness grows stronger, certain patterns often begin to appear in a person's life. These patterns do not always arrive in obvious or dramatic ways. Instead, they tend to reveal themselves through subtle shifts in circumstances, conversations, and personal interests. A person may begin noticing that situations arise which encourage deeper reflection, or invite them to consider perspectives they had never fully explored before. What once seemed like ordinary moments may now feel as though they carry quiet significance. During this stage, individuals often become more attentive to the environments they spend time in. Places that once felt comfortable may begin to feel slightly different, not necessarily unpleasant, but somehow less aligned with their evolving mindset. At the same time, new environments may begin to feel unexpectedly appealing. A person might feel drawn towards spaces that encourage creativity, learning, reflection, or meaningful conversation. These shifts in preference are not random. They often reflect the mind's natural tendency to seek surroundings that support personal development. Ideas that once seemed distant or unimportant may suddenly capture attention in a new way. Topics related to purpose, growth, and self-understanding may begin appearing more frequently in conversations or media. A book recommendation, an unexpected discussion, or even a simple observation from someone else may trigger thoughts that linger far longer than expected. These experiences can feel as though life is gradually presenting new information that helps guide the next stage of personal development. One of the most noticeable changes during this stage often occurs in relationships. As people evolve internally, their connections with others may naturally begin to shift. Some relationships may deepen as individuals discover shared values and mutual support. Conversations with certain people may become more meaningful, creating opportunities for understanding, encouragement, and growth. At the same time, other relationships may begin to change in quieter ways. Connections that were once based on shared habits, routines, or environments may no longer feel as strong as they once did. This does not necessarily mean that conflict or disagreement has occurred. Often the change happens gradually, as priorities and interests begin to move in different directions. For many individuals, this experience can feel confusing at first. Relationships are an important part of human life, and when they begin to shift, it is natural to question what is happening. Yet these changes often reflect the natural evolution of personal growth. As individuals develop new perspectives and aspirations, their connections with others may adjust accordingly. Sometimes relationships grow stronger because both individuals are evolving together. They may support one another's development, share new ideas, and encourage reflection. In these situations, the connection becomes deeper because it adapts to the changes both people are experiencing. In other cases, relationships may gradually become less central to a person's daily life. This process is rarely dramatic. Instead, it often appears through subtle changes in communication, shared activities, or emotional connection. While this shift can feel difficult at times, it often reflects the natural movement of life as individuals pursue different paths of growth. Another important sign that someone is being prepared for change is the growing awareness that familiar routines no longer provide the same sense of fulfillment they once did. Routines often serve an important purpose by creating structure and stability. However, when a person begins evolving internally, routines that once felt satisfying may start to feel repetitive or limiting. This experience can appear in many forms. A person may notice that tasks they once completed automatically now require more thought. Activities that once brought excitement may feel less engaging. Even achievements that once felt important may now seem less meaningful than before. When these feelings arise, individuals sometimes assume that something is wrong or that they are losing motivation. In reality, this shift often signals that their priorities are changing. What once fulfilled them may no longer align with the deeper aspirations that are beginning to emerge. This stage frequently encourages individuals to ask important questions about the direction of their lives. They may begin examining whether their current path truly reflects what they want to create in the future. These questions do not always appear with immediate answers, but the act of asking them represents a significant step toward clarity. Questioning familiar patterns is not necessarily a sign of dissatisfaction or failure. Instead, it often reflects the natural process of aligning one's life with evolving values. As awareness grows, individuals become more attentive to whether their daily choices reflect the person they are becoming. For some people, this stage also brings a heightened sensitivity to how they spend their time and energy. Activities that once seemed harmless may now feel draining if they do not support personal growth or well-being. At the same time, activities that encourage learning, creativity, or reflection may become more appealing. This shift in priorities often encourages individuals to experiment with new experiences. They may begin exploring interests that they previously ignored or believed were not practical. They may seek out conversations that challenge their thinking or environments that inspire curiosity. Through this exploration, the individual gradually discovers new aspects of themselves. Talents, interests, and perspectives that were once hidden may begin to emerge. These discoveries can feel exciting because they reveal possibilities that were not visible during earlier stages of life. However, this stage of preparation for change often includes periods of uncertainty as well. When life begins transitioning from one phase to another, the future is not always immediately clear. The old direction may no longer feel entirely correct, yet the new direction may still be forming. During this transitional period, individuals may experience moments of doubt. They may wonder whether their instincts are accurate, or whether the changes they are experiencing are temporary. This uncertainty can create a sense of standing between two stages of life without a clear map of what comes next. Although uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, it often serves an important purpose. When the future is not fully defined, individuals are encouraged to reflect more deeply on their values, goals, and motivations. Instead of simply continuing familiar patterns, they begin exploring new possibilities with greater awareness. These periods of reflection often strengthen personal insight. As individuals consider different directions, they develop a clearer understanding of what matters most to them. They begin to recognize which aspects of their life bring genuine fulfillment and which ones were maintained primarily out of habit. Over time, the uncertainty that once felt unsettling can become a source of growth. It encourages flexibility, curiosity, and openness to new experiences. Rather than viewing change as something to fear, the individual begins to see it as an opportunity to move closer to their authentic path. In this way, the signs that someone is being prepared for change are rarely dramatic events. Instead, they appear through gradual adjustments in perspective, relationships, routines, and awareness. Each shift represents a small step toward a larger transformation that is still unfolding. Life often prepares individuals for new chapters long before those chapters fully reveal themselves. The subtle signals that appear during this stage encourage reflection, adaptation, and growth. Even when the destination is not yet visible, these experiences guide the individual toward greater understanding of themselves and their journey. As the process continues, an important lesson gradually begins to emerge. A person may still not know exactly what is coming next, and the future may remain unclear in many ways. Yet despite this uncertainty, something inside begins to feel more stable. The individual starts to realize that while the outside world may not always provide clear answers, there is a form of guidance that exists within. This guidance does not always appear as a loud or dramatic voice. Often it is subtle, quiet, and easy to overlook unless one learns to listen carefully. Over time, intuition, reflection, and awareness begin working together in ways that help a person navigate the path ahead. Intuition is often misunderstood as something mysterious or irrational, but in many cases, it is simply the mind's ability to recognize patterns and signals that are not immediately obvious to conscious reasoning. When someone has spent time reflecting on their experiences and becoming more aware of their inner world, their intuition becomes stronger because it is supported by deeper understanding. During earlier stages of life, many people rely heavily on external guidance. They look to family expectations, social norms, or common definitions of success to determine which direction they should pursue. While these influences can provide useful structure, they do not always reflect the unique path each individual is meant to follow. As awareness grows, the individual begins to realize that relying solely on external approval may lead them away from their authentic direction. Learning to trust inner guidance does not mean rejecting advice from others or ignoring practical reasoning. In fact, balance becomes essential during this stage of development. Logic and thoughtful analysis still play an important role in decision-making. However, they are no longer the only tools guiding a person's choices. Instead, they are combined with the insights that arise from reflection, experience, and self-awareness. This balance allows individuals to approach decisions with greater confidence. When both intuition and reasoning are considered together, choices often feel more aligned with a person's deeper values. Instead of constantly questioning whether they are making the right move, individuals begin to sense when a direction feels authentic and when it does not. As this trust in inner guidance grows, people often notice that they become more attentive to subtle signals within their daily lives. Certain conversations may spark ideas that linger long after they have ended. A single sentence from a book or a brief interaction with a stranger may trigger a realization that shifts how a person sees their situation. These moments may appear small on the surface, yet they often carry deeper meaning for those who are paying attention. Sometimes opportunities begin appearing in unexpected ways. An idea that once seemed distant suddenly becomes more accessible. A chance meeting introduces a new possibility. A skill or interest that was once ignored begins to feel relevant again. These moments can feel surprising because they appear to emerge at exactly the right time. However, these opportunities often become visible only when a person is open to seeing them. When individuals remain attentive and reflective, they increase their ability to recognize possibilities that might otherwise go unnoticed. Awareness acts like a lens that sharpens perception, allowing the mind to notice connections and opportunities that were previously hidden within everyday experiences. This stage of growth often encourages individuals to approach life with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of viewing change as something unpredictable or threatening, they begin to see it as a natural part of personal evolution. Each new experience becomes an opportunity to learn something valuable about themselves and the world around them. Of course, trusting inner guidance does not eliminate uncertainty entirely. There will still be moments when the next step is unclear. There may be periods when the direction ahead feels uncertain or incomplete. Yet the difference during this stage is that uncertainty no longer feels as overwhelming as it once did. The individual begins to understand that clarity often emerges gradually rather than instantly. Just as a path becomes visible step by step while walking through a forest, life's direction often reveals itself through small experiences that accumulate over time. Each step forward provides a little more information than the one before it. This is why patience becomes such an important quality during this stage of transformation. Significant changes rarely happen in a single moment. They are usually the result of many small adjustments that gradually reshape a person's life. These adjustments may seem minor when viewed individually, but together they create meaningful shifts in perspective and direction. For example, a person may begin by simply paying closer attention to their thoughts and feelings. This awareness might lead them to explore new ideas or learn new skills. Those new interests may introduce them to people who share similar perspectives. Conversations with those individuals may reveal opportunities that were not previously visible. Step by step, what began as a quiet internal feeling gradually unfolds into real changes in the external world. When viewed from this perspective, the feeling that something is coming is not necessarily a prediction about a specific event. Instead, it often represents the early stage of a process that is already underway. The awareness itself is the beginning of transformation. By paying attention to it and allowing it to guide reflection, individuals create the conditions that allow new possibilities to emerge. This understanding encourages individuals to move forward with patience rather than urgency. There is no need to rush or force outcomes before they are ready to appear. Growth often unfolds more naturally when people remain open, attentive, and willing to learn from each experience as it arrives. During this stage, it can also become easier to recognize how past experiences have contributed to the present moment. Events that once seemed random may begin to reveal connections. Skills that were developed years earlier may suddenly become useful in unexpected ways. Encounters that once appeared insignificant may now be seen as part of a larger pattern guiding the journey forward. By reflecting on these patterns, individuals often gain a stronger sense of trust in the unfolding process of their lives. They begin to understand that not every step needs to be planned or predicted in advance. Sometimes the most important opportunities appear when a person remains attentive to the present moment, rather than focusing exclusively on distant outcomes. The quiet feeling that something is coming may therefore be less about the future and more about awareness in the present. It signals that the individual is becoming more attentive to the subtle signals that guide growth and transformation. When these signals are recognized and respected, they often lead toward opportunities that align with a person's deeper purpose. Ultimately, trusting inner guidance is about developing a relationship with one's own awareness. It involves learning to listen carefully to the insights that arise from reflection and experience. It requires patience, curiosity, and the willingness to explore paths that may not have been visible before. When individuals cultivate this trust, they often discover that the quiet feeling that something is approaching is not something to fear. Instead, it becomes a reminder that life is preparing to move forward. What begins as a subtle sense that change is near can gradually reveal itself as the opening of a new chapter, one that unfolds step by step as the journey continues. If you have been feeling that something is shifting in your life, that quiet awareness may be worth paying closer attention to. Many people experience moments like this without immediately understanding what they mean. The feeling can appear subtle at first, almost like a gentle signal that something within your life is slowly beginning to move in a new direction. It may not come with dramatic events or obvious changes in your surroundings, but internally, the awareness remains present. Sometimes the earliest signals of transformation do not appear through external circumstances at all. Instead, they emerge within the thoughts and emotions that shape your inner world. A person may begin noticing that their perspective on life is gradually changing. Ideas that once felt certain may begin to feel less complete. Questions that once seemed unnecessary may suddenly feel important. These inner changes often happen quietly, yet they carry powerful meaning. When people first experience this shift, they often try to find immediate explanations for it. They may search for clear signs in the external world that confirm what they are feeling internally. However, transformation rarely begins with obvious answers. It often starts with awareness. The realization that something is evolving within you can be the first step toward understanding the deeper direction your life is beginning to take. Many of the most important turning points in life begin with a simple recognition that the current path is changing. At first, this realization may feel uncertain because the destination is not yet fully visible. You may sense that something new is approaching without knowing exactly what form it will take. This can feel both exciting and unsettling at the same time, because the mind naturally wants clarity before moving forward. Yet personal growth rarely unfolds in a perfectly predictable way. Often the journey reveals itself gradually, through a series of small realizations and experiences that slowly reshape how you see your life. Each moment of awareness adds another piece to a larger picture that is still forming. The quiet feeling that something is approaching may therefore be less about predicting the future and more about recognizing that transformation has already begun. Your thoughts are evolving. Your awareness is expanding. The questions you are asking today may be preparing you for opportunities that have not yet fully appeared. Even if you cannot yet see where this path will lead, the presence of that inner awareness suggests that something meaningful is unfolding. Many people look back on moments like these and realize that they were the beginning of important changes in their lives. At the time, the signs may have seemed subtle or confusing, but later they become clear as the first signals that a new chapter was about to begin. This is why it can be helpful to approach this stage with patience rather than urgency. There is no need to rush the process or force immediate answers. Transformation often unfolds most naturally when you allow yourself the space to observe, reflect, and grow. By remaining open to what you are experiencing, you allow new understanding to develop at its own pace. It is also important to remember that you are not alone in experiencing these moments of awareness. Many people go through similar stages of reflection and transition at different points in their lives. These periods often mark the beginning of deeper personal understanding and the discovery of new possibilities. You may not yet know exactly what is coming, but that does not mean the journey has not already begun. In many ways, the journey begins the moment you start paying attention to the signals within yourself. The awareness you feel today may be guiding you toward experiences that will become clearer with time. Often the simple realization that something significant is approaching becomes the first step toward discovering what lies ahead. By listening carefully to that quiet inner awareness, you allow yourself to move forward with curiosity, patience, and openness. If this message resonated with you, remember to like the video, share it with someone who might benefit from hearing it, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.